Welcome, everybody, to the Awake and Sober Podcast, a podcast about life and recovery through Christ. A hodgepodge show for you today.
Hodgepodge, I like that.
Hodgepodge show. Yeah, growth is going to encompass all of it. But we're going to talk a little bit about working in recovery and expectations versus reality. So
nice.
Reality. Oof.
Yeah.
We had a dose of that today.
Yeah, we have.
Anybody knows how to do all this, come and train us.
Please.
Yes, once again, we are still looking for someone to work the switcher and the sound mixer for us. If you're out there, you like what you hear, come be a part of it and join us by working our sound.
Or if you don't like what you hear, it can make it sound better.
and not only sound better, just everything better, because having me behind this board, like having to set it up and learn it all.
The OCD of you it's shining through.
This has driven me nuts. I mean, let me tell you, like right now, I forgot to do the switcher. But
I was just going to say.
You've seen all the cuts from last week, man. It's easy for me to do, right? Just go in and boom, 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 spend 15 hours doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we do really appreciate all you're doing for this. So,
well, today I got here late because of updates. And then finally, whenever I got here, what have we been, an hour and a half? No, 2 hours now.
2 hours.
Trying to fix some crap
Yeah.
that I'm sure I boogered up somehow.
It's all right.
So with that, which one of you two want to tell us, how are you?
Hey, real quick, since we're filming, yeah, you got it.
Was my beard a little?
It was something white dangling off your like styrofoam piece or something coming off your.
It's on your pants now, bub.
Oh, look, it's a piece of paper.
Whatever. I'm just. I didn't want you to want to film the whole show with you having something on your face.
All right.
He was hungry because it took so long to get started that he went and ate some paper.
Derek, how was your week? How was your? It was the first full week at the new position, right?
It was, and it was interesting, without a doubt. I mean, it's really, I get it now where the URs were getting onto the therapists and the counselors about, hey, we needed more information if we're going to be able to get these people extended and stuff. Because now I had to get on there and nobody's giving me anything to work with, and I got to not make everything up, but get it all in there and make it sound good and stuff to reach out to the insurances. And it's quite interesting, without a doubt. 4-day weekend, though, so I'm very proud. I ain't having that in a while.
It is nice.
And that's why your old supervisor there did notes the way she did notes.
Yeah.
Is because of that. So
That's why I do the notes the way I do my notes, because of her. And because I sat in on a couple of those UR reviews, and I'm like, nope.
Nope.
yeah, it's there's a little bit of sales to it.
There
but
is.
There's also, you need good notes, but you also need to sell them on stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's sad that you need sales in that kind of a position to save lives. We have to know how to sell to the insurance company. So
It works, though, and I think that was one of the reasons I got the position, because my notes have started to were like really improving. They're like 4 lines long and stuff, as opposed to one-liners. so
I was about to say, is 4 lines pretty good? 'Cause
I was gonna say, yeah, it should have been consistently that much. I mean, at least. But it's just the way that the program is set up. So yes.
yeah, I mean, I'm writing paragraphs instead of just
Yes.
quick sentences and
that's
that.
good.
So.
That's good.
not bad.
Yeah.
Considering I've never been shown how to do a note at that place ever.
It's okay. That's a totally different story.
Yeah. So they're like, hey, you got any notes? Nope, sure don't. You need to show me how you want them done.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, what do we have today for our people?
Working in recovery versus working recovery, and expectations versus reality.
I like it.
Yeah, that one's hitting home for me today.
The expectations and reality.
Yeah.
So why don't we start there and make it to the other one?
I was going to say, I'm
I
really
mean, if
into
you
the,
want.
the working
Yeah, yeah. I
recovery
mean, we
and
don't have
working
to
in
really.
recovery myself.
What's that?
So I'm really hit with the working in recovery and working recovery.
You want to rock, paper, scissors for who goes first?
Oh,
You want to arm wrestle?
You can't get both cameras at the
arm
same
wrestle?
time, or we would. Oh, you want to arm wrestle?
yeah.
I've been working out, you know.
So what was it about working in recovery versus working recovery that you wanted to?
I think one of the things we got to let people know out there, especially those who are working in recovery, but not truly working in recovery. I think my biggest issue was the people at Celebrate Recoveries that I had gone to, that they go and they're leaders in their program, but they're not doing anything outside of their program to work on themselves. And it's like, I had to realize that when I was working in working Celebrate Recovery, I wasn't going nowhere else, no other meetings or anything like that. I think I was getting everything I needed that Thursday night while I was at work. I was wrong. Once I started going to another place and working there, things started working out better for me mentally and spiritually.
So this isn't only getting paid. I mean, you could almost attribute this to
Any volunteer work.
volunteer, but also, just for your home group even. So if you take it outside of Celebrate Recovery, take it over to AA and A. If you're only going to your home group and you're doing the work there, you're, I'm not worried about it. I'll cut it later. There's just way too much for me to worry about after the morning that we've had so far, or the afternoon that we've had.
Afternoon now, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so if you're the chair for the month or something like that, and that's all you're doing.
Yeah, I'm not just looking at the paid part, just all together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I learned early on that I can't have work be my recovery. And I've seen people, for those of us that work in recovery, you see those people who use that as their recovery. And it never goes well.
Never.
Yeah. And so it's like, okay, you guys told me to take the suggestions. I'll take the suggestions of doing something for my own recovery.
Yeah.
Instead of having, because I love that we get to help alcoholics, addicts, and focus on the mental health part of everything. But I can't pour from an empty cup.
Right.
Right. If I have nothing to give, then I have nothing to give.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you give from the overflow, so we don't even have to pour our cup, because if we're out there getting filled up, then it's just overflowing out of us, right? And so it's not, and that's what I like. I got a picture for Christina when she made something, whenever she was going in to teach a class. And it was a cup that was literally just constant water coming in, and it was just flowing out. And then you had everybody filling up their cup. So you were filling everybody just from your overflow, never depleting yourself, because you were always being filled as well. So I don't really like the saying, I can't pour from an empty cup. I get that, but why pour? We should give from the abundance, because that's what it's about, right? We could only keep what we have by giving it away. And so that's because we're filling ourselves so much that we're just overflowing with it and giving it to people.
Amen.
Yeah. Anything else? That's all I had on that one, that particular guy's thing.
Boy, that
Was just, I mean, to me, that's a big thing. I mean, I had a sponsee who was he was a leadership in his position, and he's throwing a fit that, it just doesn't seem right. Something's going on. And what are you doing for you? Well, I'm here every time I'm supposed to be. Yeah. What are you doing outside of that? Yeah, exactly. Back to that, you got to go and get filled up, and so that where your cup is so filled, like you just shared, Shane, that it's overflowing on the others, and so it's not about just out there people working the money thing and stuff like that, but anybody who's in a leadership position, the best way, in your recovery, work on yourself in order to work on others.
I think one of the things that we talked about at the beginning, whenever I first started at the church, was how do I separate work and recovery? And really, it's easy. But you could consider almost everything work if you really want to, right? But if you enjoy what you get to do, then you know that when you go to a meeting and you're just going there and really listening and paying attention, a lot less of this, running the mouth, and a lot more listening. I loved it. I loved that opportunity.
Well, that's just another thing, in what we do, what their jobs, how are we encouraging people to go into meetings and stuff like that if we're not doing it ourselves?
Ooh. Uh-oh. You might have just opened the door.
I'm just saying. I know you go to meetings. I'm just saying.
No, I was just sitting here thinking, like, work is my calling. That's not my recovery.
Right.
Yes.
And so I get the privilege and the that dog. I get the privilege of working with people that I can empathize with and relate to, but I can't just do that for myself to stay sober. Does it help me? Yes. Working with addicts and alcoholics every day absolutely reminds me of where I never want to go back to. But I can't rely that solely to fill me up, because they're all new to recovery. I mean, most of them, even if
Right.
they've had a period of sobriety, 20 years of sobriety, and you relapse and you come back in because you need treatment because it's been really bad. I can learn something from you, yes, but I need that quality, mentorship and sponsorship that says, "Hey, look, this is what you're doing is not working," because they can't call me out on my faults. Does that make sense?
Yes, very much so.
So, how about the wedding? Think of a position at your place, the wedding planner position. Would it be harder to separate, like someone that's always in the field and going to pick people up and taking them to meetings, and that's part of your gig? You get to check out at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. There's some positions in the treatment center world that don't get to check out really. They're on 24/7. Would it be harder to separate what you do versus working your recovery?
Yes, I think so. I guess why it's so important to set those boundaries early. Like you have to do something for yourself, and thank you for bringing that up. But we have staff that live in the transitional living and help out, and it's like that's great, and we need you guys to do that as part of living for free. We need you guys to help out. But at the same time, you need to take that time, and it needs to be daily, whether it's going for a little drive, whether it's going to a park, whether it's going to a coffee shop, whether it's going to a meeting, taking time off and away from work to recharge your batteries. You need to do that. That's very important. And I could say this too is, and you know this, but like, even though my wife's not a clinician, she is literally on call all the time as a provider.
Yeah.
So, and I
Probably
know,
worse than the clinician side, of course.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So, and so she's had to learn how to set boundaries for her own recovery because especially like on Thursdays when she's working, a 12, 13-hour day, she doesn't want to go to her home group. And it's like, she's like, I need to go though, don't I? I'm like, yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
Well, at least she could receive that.
Yeah.
But that's one of the hardest things, and I think that was the hardest thing for me when I started at the church was I'm always doing something for recovery. But it was a weird shift saying, okay, so what is my recovery? What is working for the church? How do I separate those? And then when I started all the volunteer opportunities, I'm like, do I really need to separate it, or can I start making sure that I'm just getting filled up? And I'm looking at it as I get to do this, and if I'm at a meeting, I'm going to take in what I can from that meeting. I'm not worried about it. There's going to be times, buddy, I'm going to forget because I'm going to get caught up.
I'll never forget when you're smoking a cigar on your back deck and you came out like, I got something. Like he just got up. He's like, we were in mid sentence and he just gets up. And I don't even remember what we were talking about. And he comes back with a sign that says, I get to do this. And he just hands it to me. He's like, put this in your office.
Well,
And I was like, oh, yeah, I do get to do this, don't I? Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about something, and you were in a
Yeah.
you were in a little bit of a headspace.
I was not in a good place.
So we need that reminder. I think we should just make them all for all of us anyway. I don't care what you do for a living. You have the opportunity, and we get to do this. If you have that mindset with everything, boy, how much better life looks. But
Yeah.
when I have to do this, when I have to do this, when I have to do this.
I hear that a lot, especially from people new to recovery. I don't want to have to go to meetings every day. Why do these people go to meetings every single day? Well, did you drink every day? Yes. Did you use every day? Yes. And stop looking at it as I have to do this the rest of my life. That is, and you get to do this.
Yeah,
I
I
get
get
to
to
go
do
to
it
a
because I'm
meeting.
alive. My drug or alcohol of choice did not kill me.
Right.
Man, thank goodness I'm alive. I get to see my family. I get to go to my in-laws. My in-laws are okay, so it don't bother me anyway. My in-laws are pretty good.
Yeah.
So, you got anything else over there, D?
And I had a thought in my head before you all kept talking, but
That's why you keep a pen and paper. About
yeah, I know I should have wrote it down, but because I was thinking I feel a lot of conviction inside this whole, working recovery and working recovery.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't remember exactly where my head it went on that one, but something had come up that I know I recognized the fact that I was failing in my recovery because I was not working my recovery, trying to do everybody else's thing, and especially back to when my brother passed. I tried to save the family. I'm trying to work their recovery. I wasn't doing mine, and I was only doing what I thought I knew how to do, and it was wrong.
I guess it's the oxygen mask. You got to put yours on first
Gotta
before
put
you
it
can
on,
help anybody
yeah.
else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, with me, I had an Apple Watch, a smartwatch, for a long time, and I was always connected. That might have been
Yeah,
when you
you
gave me
were.
the sign. Actually,
Probably.
that's where you gave me the sign. But I was always connected to work, and in the position that I was in now, I was the therapist and a house manager, and I was getting stressed out because it was too much for me to do, and not that it wasn't too much for me to, I was just overwhelmed with everything. And so when you said, "Why don't you get rid of the watch?" and I was like, "I can't get rid of the watch," and I got rid of the watch, and my happiness increased exponentially in like 72 hours. I was like, this is amazing because I can finally separate what I was doing for a living and actually take that time to actually focus on my recovery. Because even when I was going to a meeting, my phone would ding or whatever, and I'd be looking at my watch and not even actually in the moment and worried about that.
There was not a time that didn't go by that you didn't look at the watch as soon as it went off.
Mm-hmm.
And I know another person
Yeah, I know.
that
I don't know what you're talking about.
I know another person because we'd be sitting in my office having a conversation and he's looking at his wrist and I'm like, if it's more important, go ahead and step outside and take it. Because
Never was.
and that was one of the hardest lessons I had to learn is I always had my phone with me, right? And so when I'm sitting in a meeting, I'm already in my next meeting, or I'm just waiting for my phone to go off so I can put someone in treatment or do what I can to go save a life. But I was never present in the moment. And so we have to be present.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that was one of the big lessons for me to learn is to be present. Because I was always at the next, so I was never in the moment. I was just always at the next best thing and never the next right thing.
Yeah.
Had to give it to him, right?
Do the next
Yes.
right thing.
Yes.
Here, the cliche sayings are cliche sayings because they were used and popular at one time. They make sense, but I just hate them because they make such good sense.
I know. Yeah.
You know, so I don't know I don't know how to look at that other than that.
I don't know.
It kind of is a fun subject because there's a lot of people these days that are getting into recovery and then wanting to go into the treatment center world or, you know, to be a CPS, a certified peer specialist here in Missouri. And I know they call them other things, other places, and if you're wanting to get into this line of work, if this is going to become your vocation, make sure that you keep up with your recovery. I know we were worried about somebody taking a position at a treatment center because they would be on basically 24/7. And so the question was, when's your meetings going to come in? When's your downtime going to come in? Because you're on call. There's no other person but you. And the last person in that position, it wore out.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you don't have anybody to back you up and you don't have healthy boundaries put in place, you're going to be steamrolled. And the next thing you know, you're going to be checking yourself back in instead of somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And say, I know an individual, they work in the recovery world, they're a CPS, and at the same time, they work at Celebrate Recovery. And yet they're not going anywhere for themselves. It's like, and you want to know why you stress all the time. I'm thinking because you're draining yourself out so much. You're not being poured into, back again to that subject. How are you pouring out, man? And you're doing this, and you're back to this.
That's when we're living on our own strength, not God's strength, right? That's when it's all about Shane and less about God. And I mean, even if you don't have a relationship with God, you hopefully being in recovery have a relationship with a higher power. If you don't, you better get one. But when we start making it about us, then things fall apart pretty easy.
I'm getting to the point in my recovery where my home group has a lot of former clients. Or clients of not even just myself, but a lot of former clients from our treatment center that we work at. And while I'm glad that they're there and they're doing well, I kind of feel this reservation about sharing because I can't share like I want to share. Because I was a therapist for them. So there's an ethical boundary there that I can't cross. And it's like, okay, I'm glad you guys are doing this, but I feel a lot more kind of constricted in that, if that makes any sense.
Oh, very much so. Because there's only so much as a clinician that you could share.
Right.
And this is separate from that, but I would want to remove myself too. And is that what you're kind of alluding to?
Yeah, and that's what's crazy is that that's where I got sober. So that's kind of my thing. And all those people, I love those people. And the core group of home group members they're just amazing. But it's not that I want to change that group, but it's like I just can't. I might have to find something else, I think.
So where else are you going for your meetings besides your home group on Saturdays? What other group do you like?
There is a Thursday night meeting that I go to that's it meets the same time that my wife's Al-Anon meeting meets. And it's like there was 3 birthdays one day, and there was 98 years between the 3 birthdays.
Not bad.
So I was like,
Is it in Wentzville?
Darting Prairie.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Presbyterian church down there. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a bunch of old school, and I mean old school guys. So, and I just love listening to them, you know?
See, that's the kind of fun meeting you go to, you listen.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to worry about speaking. You know, you just get to pick up all the wisdom as you're there. And those are the most fun meetings.
That's what I do at the meetings. I've been going to more AA meetings than that. Sit down, shut up, and just listen. And I really feel great when I leave. You know, I don't open up and shit. I don't care who's in there, because I'm not going to share anything for them in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just my thing.
I was about to give him some. Speaking of, how's your new sponsee doing?
He was great last week, wasn't he?
Well, I mean, you bragged about him last week.
He was, man. He was good up until about Wednesday.
Yeah.
And then it's like, and that's the reality of this disease. The cunning, baffling, powerful part of this disease.
And it's so heartbreaking.
It is.
It is just heartbreaking. I can't stand it. I mean, have you heard from him at all, or is he just totally ghosting and MIA?
Ghosting and MIA.
Do you know where he lives?
No.
I was going to say, man, knocking on a door is fun sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, go to their house, show up, and knock on the door because could you imagine the 3 of us show up?
I'd be scared, man. It's just we're all wearing black.
Well, yeah, I'm already intimidating, and then the 3 of us show up. Yeah, you 2 guys. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Nobody has ever liked it when I've knocked on their door without being, if I wasn't invited to their house.
I remember that one friend that we did that to, and he just he was not happy.
Yeah, people just don't know what to do.
No.
Yeah. It happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
It'd be like
now on,
Dog the Bounty Hunter go chasing down people that's been ASA.
any new sponsees, just get their address. Say, hey, I need your address too. I may want to drop you off a package of cookies.
Yeah.
Send you an edible arrangement or something.
And then we show up. How you doing?
Not edibles, edible arrangements.
That's what I said.
Yeah. Okay. Just making sure.
Yeah.
That's sad that you have to.
It is pretty sad. It has got to be.
I didn't even think about it, Jeremy, I'm like,
Oh, it's true. Everywhere. It drives me nuts. We pull out the street up here, and it's like, it's got a drive through, and it's
Up there on Bryan.
it's just like it's lined out. Yesterday, I drove by and there was a line getting into the place. I'm like, this is whatever. I mean, it's a holiday weekend, I guess.
well, never mind.
Yeah,
It-
that's a whole other podcast.
Right? We were talking about expectations versus reality.
ooh,
What about it?
what about
What
it?
about it? Well, that's where we work through what is an expectation, what reality is, right?
So what is an expectation?
So expectations are what we think will happen, while reality is what really transpires. While we hope these two will match up, they often don't.
They don't.
They don't.
What?
That's crazy, right? I mean, you ask yourself, what do you expect from a situation? Right? Ask yourself, what do you expect? So you're going to a meeting. What do you expect to happen? What's really going to happen when you go to this meeting?
Are you asking me?
Yes, it's kind of what I'm looking right at you.
I know. You're like, what's going to happen? You're going to hear some stuff.
Yes, but you're expecting to go in there and hear something that's going to change your life completely,
It
right?
doesn't happen.
That's the reality of going to a meeting.
Yeah.
Yes, right. So that's what we're looking at. The differences between what you expect and what really happens with you in recovery, especially.
What expectations did you have when you first got sober?
When I first got sober,
Like what expectations do you have that were legit expectations and that were just, nope, never going to happen?
So legit expectations, like I expected to stay sober for the rest of my life.
Oh,
When I first got to recovery, yeah, the reality was that didn't happen. So what about you?
what? Why are you looking at me? I just had deja vu here for a second. Like that just really freaked me out. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like we've already done this.
Interviews.
Well, this is one that we haven't done yet. I was just looking because I had to plug my Mac up and do all kinds of things, and I was just waiting to hear you say what kind of expectations you had. I'm trying to think. I really went in with no expectations because I didn't know what to expect.
But did you expect like your family life to get back together, that you were going to get back into work? Like, did you have those expectations when you first got in? Because you weren't a pastor when you got sober.
No, I was working. I was a mortgage professional.
Yeah.
So, no, I mean, I knew I was on short-term disability that was going to go into long-term disability most likely. I didn't really handle much of that because of where my head was at. My memory was gone, and that's why I was on short-term disability anyway. And so my daughter handled all those things for me. I mean, all I had to do was go to treatment and soak it in and learn. So to me, I had a different recovery experience as far as going into treatment, doing IOP. And then when I got out, they set the proper expectations while I was in treatment. You know, they said, well, when you get out, here's what you need to do. You know, go to a meeting every day for the first 90 days at least. Find a sponsor, work some steps. They said, and when you leave here, go straight to a meeting. Don't go home first, go to a meeting.
Yep.
Before you even go home. And so all those things that were said to me, I ended up doing. All those suggestions I ended up taking because I knew they knew better than I did. And so they helped me set proper expectations.
I was going to say, so were those suggestions or expectations that they put on you? Because you put the expectations on yourself.
I put the expectation on myself because they can't expect anything of me.
Right.
But they gave me the suggestions, so I'm like, well, if I do these things, I can make it. And so my expectations became their suggestions became my expectations. Let me say it that way.
Mm.
Well, it's those people that think they're going to go to a 26-day, 30-day program and expect life to be completely different when they get out. And the reality is you're going to return right back to the same life if you're not working at it to change it while you're here.
It's crazy for those that go into recovery or go to our treatment center. It's literally once you hit the highway and you leave the premises, something weird happens to you. It's like life smacks you literally in the face. It's like, and you know, where we work, it's in the middle of nowhere. I mean, we're surrounded by cornfields and bean fields. But as soon as you hit that highway and that freedom comes back to you, like, because you feel like you've been stuck for 18 days or 20-something days or 30 days. And so when you get out there, it's like this whole, that I guess, safety net that you had, you just left it back there.
See, now I've had conversations with a lot of my clients about that as well, though. They feel like, well, yeah, we're in a bubble. We're in a safety bubble. You know, we can't be touched here. But once we get out there, what are we gonna do? Go to meetings, build your accountability team. You end up building up your own safety net that you have people there watching out for you. You got the same thing out in this world as you have inside this compound, we could call it.
Don't call it a count. That sounds awful.
Well, I'm just saying, that's how they make us out the
This
South.
is prison, man.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
Yeah, that's a heck of a prison.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
it's the Taj Mahal, right?
Easy, killer. Easy. It's just the structure inside of a treatment center, right? Mm-hmm. You're told when to get up. You're told when to eat. You're told when to do all these things. And you're not used to living for yourself anymore. And so preparing them for the outside world is part of your job, is getting them ready to get back into reality. Hopefully, I mean, the problem, if nobody at home has gone to get themselves help, things are going to be the same when they go home. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, the chaos is still there no matter what. And so the longer they could stay in a program, if we could get people away for a year-long program, really 13 months, do you know how much better off everybody would be? But I mean, to get an insurance to approve 30 days nowadays, how hard is it, Derek? You've been doing it.
It
Well,
depends on what company you're with, that's for sure. But yeah, some company. I mean, it's hard to get 18 days out of some people.
It's hard to get more than 10 days out of some of these insurance companies, which is downright crazy.
In our clinical director, her and I were talking last week, and she was like, when she first got into the substance abuse arena for her job, she's like, insurance was like 180 days. Like that was not unheard of. Like you went to treatment for 120 to 180 days. That was it. And she goes, it's just slowly like dwindled down to where, I mean, you know, we have some insurances that are like, well, 17 days. That's why do you need 17 days? Like, do you want to keep paying for this person to keep coming back, or?
See, and that's the thing. If you'll put them in for a longer period of time, the chances of them going back in, the longer they stay, the chances of them going back get less and less, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I could pay for one long stay, or I could pay for 50 little stays throughout the life of this person. And then most likely because of that, now I have more hospital bills. I have more, I mean, because you're slowly killing their body anyway. So now you have all these heart problems, liver problems, kidney problems, you name it. So, but I was told by a doctor one time, no matter what, insurance companies only want to pay for treatment, not treatments is something, not really a cure. So if there's a good chance of them, and will never be cured, but if there's a good chance of them having that, I don't know. I don't get why, besides a money grab.
Yeah.
And it's really heartbreaking with the price that we pay for insurance. Mm-hmm. But thank goodness there's some people out there that like to help pay for treatment for people.
Yeah, I mean, the day is set up just like like a day should be when you get out of treatment. So you get up, you eat breakfast, take your medicine, you go to group, and group goes from 8 to noon. And then what would you do if you were out in the real world and had a job? You would eat lunch. And then you come back from lunch and you go back to work for a few hours. And then you go home and you eat dinner. And then what do you do in the evening? Go to a meeting. And that's exactly how it's set up. And it's set up for that reason. But people don't realize that these are just rules and blah, blah, blah. It's like, what structure did you have in your life?
None they were using. I mean, honestly, for a lot of them, they didn't have that structure. There's some of us that still maintain jobs the entire time, but there's a lot of people that they didn't have any structure at all. And so that we have to meet them where they're at, but it's up to us to also explain to them, hey, look, this is the structure that you need when you go home. You keep the same structure, but I don't know what that looks like for you guys. And go ahead, D.
Structure when I go home, it's my life lives on structure now, because if not, I'm afraid of what's going to happen.
No, I meant, are you preparing, like, before you went into this new role, did you prepare people for when they went home?
Yes. So back to like the expectation and reality thing we're talking about. One of my expectations was that I expected everybody who got out of there to go and start living a sober life, which, as far as I had accepted reality, that's not always going to happen, you know. But yeah, I gave them referrals to people to go and talk to outside of there. I gave them meeting places to go to and stuff like that. Do everything I could to get that relapse prevention plan set up, so when they got out of here, they got to start living that structured life. And then I bring up the job situation. All right, you get up and go to work 9 to 5. That's what you do here. Mm-hmm. You can take a lunch at noon, just like you would on the outside world. It's not about having a set of rules and regulations to hold you guys confined somewhere. We're teaching you guys the structure of life itself. Mm-hmm. Back to the whole sobriety is only 5 to 10% of your actual recovery. It's just not about being sober, but a full life recovery. You got to get back on that structure, back on that lifestyle, that, to live life as it is.
A term came up this week a couple of times, and then I just started thinking about it yesterday on my way home. Is there such thing as a functioning alcoholic or addict?
No.
Yeah.
No.
There's ones that show up to work.
Oh, yeah.
But their life is still, certain pieces, no matter what, are going to be unmanageable. Mm-hmm. I don't care how well you hold it together in front of people. Somewhere within that life is chaos. Somewhere in that life is unmanageability. Otherwise, you wouldn't have to worry. They'd never go into treatment mm-hmm. because they were good. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that term. I was a functioning alcoholic.
No, you wasn't.
Well, because people think that if they can hold down a job, they can pay their bills, that they're functioning, and but what are you doing? Why do you keep going to the bottle or to the dope every single time? What are you not working through?
I don't want to deal with my past.
Oh,
I don't want to deal with that trauma. I don't want to deal with, those are hard things to
but
deal
you're
with.
functioning.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
I'm breathing.
Yeah,
That's about, yeah. It's about as functional as you get. You're breathing.
yeah.
I thought that myself, man. I was a functioning addict. I got up, went to work every day, worked a good, 8-hour day doing construction work. If I could do that and still get my buzz on, I was good. No.
I think it's really hard too for the people that's not that everybody struggles with substance abuse, but especially people that are addicted to stimulants, methamphetamine, because they're like, I work. You know, it's like, yeah. So you don't have a problem working. I'm sure you could probably work for 10 people. But that's not healthy. That's not how you're supposed to do this.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, but then they get caught in that psychosis.
Yeah.
Because eventually it comes back to haunt you, but that psychosis is.
Scary.
I'm helping a gentleman out right now, and I think he's finally maybe coming out of that brain fog a little bit, that psychosis, because he texted me and he goes, hey, I want to come to your meeting on Tuesday just to say thank you for all the hard work you guys have done for me around my house. And I'm like, buddy, that's not the reason you need to come, but just come. I don't care. We'll try to talk you into staying. We'll love on you enough until you want to love on you. But yeah, it's because this Tuesday is pickleball, so I won't be at that one. I'm going to try to get him out at First Assembly with us
Okay.
to come hang on Friday. I think that'd be good. Try to get him out there to play some pickleball with us on Tuesday.
Yeah.
You should come up and get your butt whooped.
I'm sorry. I work till late.
Since when do you work late?
I work late every day now.
Ugh,
The last week, I don't get off till 8:30.
that's the problem with going to Kirkhood.
No.
But I don't go in till 10 o'clock.
No.
I'm actually okay with that. My wife works for on the same hours, so we're good.
Oh, that's
I don't have kids at the house. I got to care about. I mean,
Well, you do right now.
well, yeah, I got your son.
You got a 13-year-old over at your house at the moment.
But I'm just saying, I don't have other. I could work those hours and get away with it
I got
right now.
Gotcha. Expectations. I heard it said a long time ago, and it totally applied to me. Was the two killers of any alcoholic is expectations and excuses. And when I looked back on like my relapses, it was it started off slow. It was, oh, Conley's got a baseball practice tonight. I'm going to miss this meeting because I need to get him to practice. And so I miss it 1 week. And then the next week, I'm like, well, I did it last week. Then maybe I could do it again. Oh, I'm good. But then I'm doing that 2 or 3 times a week. Next thing you know, I'm down to 1 meeting or no meetings a week. And oops, there I go. I relapse.
Well, that goes back into the first segment we talked about today.
Yeah.
Working it versus working it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, well, I mean, my job's part of it, so I'm working recovery every day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's definitely a slippery slope.
Very
Goes
good.
sliding down.
And they also say too is expectations are resentments in waiting, or it's just a future resentment.
Premeditated.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, I could tell you, let me go back to this. I could tell you that we said it, we talk about unspoken expectations versus spoken expectations, right? Because we all have unspoken expectations of people, how you're going to act. I mean, I ran into that at church today. How you're going to act, how you're going to speak, how you're going to do certain things. And so you have expectations of your family that you just have them plan on living up to. But when they're unspoken, how does somebody really live up to your expectation? Mm-hmm. And so unspoken expectations are a little worse than just expectations.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. Well, it goes back to proper communication, like healthy communication with a spouse, with a friend. It's, you know, Shane and I've had this before too. You know, I think it's in any close, intimate relationship where if you have a breakdown in communication, there's an expectation set. And if that expectation is met, then well, I'm agitated. Well, why am I agitated? Why am I angry? And it's like, I can't just expect my wife to know what's going through my head, even though she expects.
She should.
She should, but she doesn't.
Yeah, she should. She's smart enough.
She is. She's smarter than me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
My wife's smarter than I am, and she don't know what I'm thinking half the time.
But the problem is you don't know what you're thinking half the time.
True story.
Nah, D, I love you, brother.
But like the expectation parts, I mean, me and my wife have been able to work things out that, we're expected to be a certain, do certain things around the house. We expect one another to be a certain way, and that. But it was after sitting down and working through them, and like you said, spoken expectations, that the unspoken part actually just comes a little more natural because we already know it's already been said. It's just not said at the moment, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's easy to get away from expectations. It's easy to get away from the things that you've agreed upon, right? So like if me and Christina have a serious talk, everything goes in a notebook. And it's probably surprising. We write it. We write the issues we have and we write the solutions to any problem. So here's the expectations now that we're going to live by these things because we've agreed to it and we've written them down. But it's so easy to get away from it all. It's easy to get away from meetings at times because I have something coming up. It's easy to get away from the solutions we came to because the notebook's closed now. And I went back to just doing whatever I wanted. But I have the expectations you're not going to do it. Mm-hmm. But the reality is I'm going to fail at it. Probably before you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I'm going to hold you to this expectation. But what am I doing to myself? So, yeah, it makes it a pain in the butt.
Mm-hmm. Amen. Yeah, don't make expectations. Make plans.
So don't make expectations, make plans.
Yes. Oh.
Nice.
Unrealistic expectations lead to traumatic situations.
What?
I don't know where it came from.
I just lost it. I just had it, and it was talking about.
I think because it needed to erase itself.
It may have.
I was like, how does that lead to trauma? I guess it could.
Yeah.
But
unrealistic expectations, it leads to bad situations. Because you're not full, if they're unrealistic, you get to that point, oh, I expect this to happen, but, like I expect to make it to the top of Mount Everest.
Did you?
No.
Oh.
And I ain't going to, but I'm not going to let it,
I couldn't even make it down.
See.
Do what?
I couldn't even make it down from Mount Everest, let alone make it up.
So being able to manage my expectations to make it more real, I could think about doing it, but I don't have to actually go and do it.
Yeah.
Let's
because that unrealisticness could cause relapse.
No, I can see that. I can definitely see that because, that ties into what Jeremy said, though.
Yeah.
So with what you said, don't have expectations, have plans.
Yeah. Don't make expectations, make plans.
And so if you make plans, then you won't run into the relapse, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of plans?
Realistical plans.
Realistical? Realistical.
That's a word.
It's realistical.
Look it up. Later. Realistically.
Ladies and gentlemen, please.
It's realistical and mystical.
Something.
I'm going to start rapping.
So plans or goals, what were you thinking?
Yeah, well, I think, and I know we've hit on this a few times, but people, their goal is I want to stay sober for 6 months. My goal is to get to my 6-month birthday. Or my plan is to do that. That's not your plan. That's a goal, but what is your plan to get there? Like, you have to have a plan. So I have to say, okay, well, I'm going to do 3 meetings or 90 meetings in 90 days. If I want to do 3 months of sobriety, I have to do 90 meetings in 90 days, and then hold yourself accountable to that.
Make the plan, but really you're setting goals for your greater goal.
Correct.
So, yeah, you have to break the goals down. It is a plan. I plan to do this, but here's how I'm going to execute it.
Yeah.
By putting goals in place.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people do not like setting goals.
You.
And I'm guilty of it.
Me too.
I know I could help other people do it, but then I suck at it for myself. Mm-hmm. I could help other people do this, and I suck at it for myself. So setting goals, though, has been a lot of fun. I've been getting back to it and writing them out a lot more lately. Here's what needs to be done, and here's how I'm going to get there. But yeah, if you've never, I would look up lead and lag goals too, because it's along the same lines to where you have the greater goal and what it's going to take to get to that greater goal, right? Smart goals get you there as well. If you just want to set your big goal, and a lot of smart goals to get all the same, but no matter what, you got to have. You got to have something to celebrate along the way too. And I think that's a piece that we leave out because we have this big, huge goal and we don't know how to get there. And if we would just set those little goals and we celebrate them along the way, it'd keep us moving forward on that journey. It's kind of like sobriety. If I can make it to 30 days, but I mean, at the beginning, we got to make it through today. And then it's, all right, man, I'm going to get through tomorrow. The next thing you know, we start working those goals because my plan was I'm going to wake up and I'm going to take a shower. I'm going to brush my teeth. I'm going to eat. I'm going to do these things. And my day was planned out. There you go. There's your plan, right? My day was already planned out, and it helped me achieve my goal at the end of the day. I stayed sober today.
Yeah. I'd say each day is pretty well planned out. I know I'm going to get up and go to the gym in the morning. I'm going to get up, come home, feed the dogs, shower, get to work, fulfill my day there, come home, spend time with the wife. Simple plan, easy enough for me. You know, each day I do it that way. Each day it works out. It's another day I'm sober.
Well, it's like today. I had expectations of how this morning was supposed to go because there was a plan in place. Like, this is what we're going to do, and okay, cool. And then at 8 a.m., that all came crashing down because it was, oh, no, I got to do this. Like, my 15-year-old's like, I'm supposed to be doing this right now. I'm like, I didn't know you're supposed to be doing that right now. And then there was logistical issues and kids everywhere. And it was just absolutely nothing how I had expected my morning to go. And so I found myself before I even got into church, I'm agitated, I'm irritable, and I'm discontent. 100%. And then this story today, the message was on Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So I was like, am I being more like Nebuchadnezzar, or am I being more like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? So,
Well, that's usually an easy answer,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
yeah, it was.
I don't like that,
I
but
don't
it's
either.
usually an easier
I don't
answer.
either. So, but yeah, I think I think we're talking about all this, but I said at the beginning, growth kind of encompasses all of this in recovery. Because if we're not growing, we're dying. And if I'm not, you said something about you have to keep moving, and I think it's if we don't keep moving, we're going to become sedentary, and when we become sedentary in recovery, we're setting ourselves up for disaster. And it's not even in recovery. I'm talking about in our faith too.
Yes.
Our faith walk. It's easy to get sedentary. It's easy just to check a box and go to church on Sunday, not get involved in small groups, not volunteering, not doing service work.
Not volunteering, not doing service work, huh?
Yeah.
I was just thinking of the scripture, and I wanted to find the address for it real quick, though. Talking about being lukewarm.
It's in Luke.
Lukewarm and Luke.
Yeah, I got
Luke
it.
or Matthew. I know that. I can't think of it right now. But 2 Peter 3:18 says, but grow in the grace and knowledge of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. To him be the glory, but now and forever. Amen. Growth. Like you say, grow spiritually.
You said grow spiritually. Sorry, I didn't switch over to you.
Yeah, so that's all right. Ain't nobody missing nothing.
Right. So
Yeah, I think expectation. Going back to that, expectation versus reality is we're going to struggle.
Yes.
Life is going to be full of struggles. It's not going to be easy. Your recovery is not going to be easy. Your faith walk isn't going to be easy. But there's nowhere in the Bible where it says, "Hey, just do this. If you believe in me, everything's going to be great."
Right. No.
yeah, we talked about that last week.
Yeah.
How Jesus said quite the opposite.
Yeah.
So Revelation 3:15 and 16 says Jesus uses their water supply as a spiritual metaphor. He says, "I know your deeds, that you are neither cold nor hot. I wish that you were cold or hot. So, because you are lukewarm and neither hot nor cold, I will vomit you out of my mouth."
Ooh.
And even Jesus comes out and says, take up my yoke, for the burden is light. Never did he say it was easy to get through. He just said it was easier with him. Never that it was easy. It was just easier. You still have to do the work. It's not just going to happen.
Doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's a pretty brutal way to look at it. Either vomit you out of my mouth, one of them spit you out of my mouth. But is it not easy to become lukewarm? Is it not easy to quit doing the things? I mean, if you're hot or you're cold, I mean, you're either totally against, and so then you know where you stand, or you're just on fire for, or you're on fire for, you're cold out.
We get caught up in that comfort zone that we get in of ourselves. That's where we start growing lukewarm because, we're not doing nothing to keep hot for whatever it is that we're headed towards. Mm-hmm. What do you got there, Jay?
2 Peter chapter 1, verse 5. For this very reason, make every effort to add to your faith goodness, and to goodness knowledge, and to knowledge self-control, and to self-control perseverance, and to perseverance godliness, and to godliness mutual affection, and to mutual affection love. For if you possess these qualities in increasing measure, they will keep you from being ineffective and unproductive in your knowledge of our Lord Jesus Christ.
Yeah, he didn't switch on you that whole time either.
No, I think you can sum that up into that one. What's that one saying? Do the next right thing.
Oh boy, see why I didn't switch? That's why I didn't switch.
Easy does it.
Easy does it.
I could have swore I said let's do the next wrong thing and we beat them last week. Blanket party. Easy does it. See, that's one that you don't hear much anymore.
No, you don't.
And every time I hear it, though, I think of Eazy-E.
Yeah.
The song Easy Does It.
I just think
should have known by now how easy does it.
I just think it's like show yourself some grace.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah, I can't because like growing up, listening to the music I listen to, when I hear Easy Does It, that's the first thing. I mean, when I taught a Celebrate Recovery and that would come up, I used that reference. I mean, it's just easy to do, but we do need to take it slow, but we need to keep moving forward because we don't get stuck. We don't get stagnant. We're either moving forward or we're moving backward. One of the two is happening at all time.
Mm-hmm.
Philippians 3:14 says, growth never stops. I press on forward the goal to win the prize of the upward call of God in Jesus Christ. Philippians 3:14. That was the ESV version.
That was the ESV. So what were your expectations like? Now that we've already talked about this a little bit though, but getting out of treatment and beginning your recovery, what were your true expectations? What did you expect?
The first time I went to treatment, I expected kind of like what Derek said. I'm going to stay sober forever. I'm never going to drink. I said never. And then I remember people telling me, never say never. Well, I'm going to be that 0.1% that actually gets it. And I didn't. But my expectations when I got out of treatment the last time and this time is I honestly didn't have any expectations on what to expect because I knew that it was, let me take that back. I knew that it was going to be a tough road to hoe. Like it was rebuilding relationships, rebuilding trust, rebuilding love, building on my relationship with Christ, all that stuff. I knew that if I did, I guess my only expectation was if I did that, I knew good things were going to happen. And it doesn't mean, it never said it was going to be easy. And it hasn't been without its growing pains and its struggles. But it's like you said, it's just easier knowing that I'm in that fire and I know that Jesus is with me. So no matter what fire that I'm going through, no matter what struggle I'm going through, it doesn't matter because Jesus is with me.
Amen.
Amen.
But what about our listeners right now? Because, I mean, we're going to have people that aren't believers yet, hopefully. I mean, that's the goal of it, right? Is to understand, I mean, something greater than you has to be there with you, with what you're doing. You cannot go down this road. Really, in the end, to me, you can't go down this road without Jesus, but you have to start somewhere. And I don't care what it is, if it's the group, if it's whatever it needs to be for you, just get a higher power for now. Let that grow, let that manifest, and it's our job to love, it's the Holy Spirit's job to convict. Holy Spirit to do what the Holy Spirit needs to do. But if you're there, just something greater than you. Believe in it. Because if it's all about you,
we see
we'll
where
see you
you
back.
got you. Yeah.
we'll see you back shortly. But we don't want that for you. We want you to experience life change. We want you to experience healing and freedom and being restored. We want that for everybody. If you want it for you, you have to have something greater than you.
Yes.
So hopefully they'll look for that. And like I said, it could be the group at the moment. It could be nature. It could be whatever you need it to be. Just know that there has to be a power greater than you out here in this world. I mean, to make us, to make creation, to make all, come on now.
Yeah.
There's got to be something greater than you.
Somebody had to come up with the idea. Right?
I'd say, yeah. I just laugh because, people, that whole, nothing becoming something. It's just, I've never seen it any other time besides what they try to say happened. So I'm just,
I confirmed this the other day. You know what your chances of being born are? Give me a guess.
3 trillion to 1.
I couldn't even.
It's 1 in 400 trillion.
Oh, okay.
The chances of all three of us being born were 1 in 400 trillion. So we're here for a reason.
So wait a minute. We're better than 1 in a million.
There is a chance.
I could do the drop mic. Mic drop.
Yeah, just please don't drop that one because we already broke
I
one when
know,
we knocked it off. Let's not do that again.
Hey, but those pens from that particular place now, you just heard that one drop over there. That's almost the sound of a mic drop. That's how good those pens are, man.
Yeah, all you got to do is drop, man. I'm delayed over here. All you got to do is drop the pen and everything is good.
This is true.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how would somebody come up with that stat?
I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of things that have to. I mean, we know it has to happen to make a baby, but it's like there's a lot of action that has to go on in between there. After that. So
Right.
It's just
Like it says in the Bible, Jesus knew, or God knew who we were before we were even in our mother's tomb.
mother's tomb.
Mother's womb. I'm sorry. Whoops.
he did say mother's tomb. Don't worry.
Me too.
I'll highlight that if we need to.
I'm
Before
getting
you were-
tired here, man. We've been on here for like what, 3 hours?
Before I knitted you in your mother's tomb.
Before I knew you, your mother.
On that note, yeah.
Look, and we do. I mean, it was fun today.
Yeah.
When we finally got to talk, when we finally got to sit down, nothing went the way that we wanted it to go, but
Which,
obviously we got to talk about Jesus. We got to talk about God, and hopefully people will find that higher power. This is, and something we didn't mention at the beginning because we got sidetracked, this is Suicide Awareness Month.
yes.
I'm rocking colors for it, and I know you have a Be Kind shirt. Look, if you're struggling with any kind of mental health, but suicidal ideation, please reach out. 988 is, and I'm going to try to do an overlay just for the whole month at least.
Okay.
988 at the bottom of the screen.
Just
reach
the
out.
camera to yourself while you talk about it.
Why?
Why not?
He's gonna mess with it later.
Yeah, I mean, everything can get done in post, so it's okay. Look, there's people out here that want you to be alive. Your family wants you to be alive. We want you to be alive, and we don't even know you.
And another thing, that 988, just in case you're the kind of person doesn't want to talk to somebody,
text
send a text.
Yep.
Yeah, send them a text.
You could even do a chat online.
Really?
You could do an online chat.
Nice.
Yeah, you could pretty much do just about anything these days, but we want you to be alive until you want to be alive. And so if you need someone to talk to, I mean, you could reach out. You could email us at info@awakensober.org, and one of us will call you if you want. I mean, look, I don't know where you might be, but if we'll come and take you out. If you're local here in Missouri, I'll come and take you out to lunch, to dinner.
We might take them out even if they ain't locals. We like some road trips every now and then.
Yeah, I mean, look, we want you to be alive until you want to be alive. And it's not only now, it's every day that we want this to happen. So if you are in that dark spot where you just can't see hope, there is hope. Even if you can't see it right now, and let us be that hope for you until you want it.
I think that goes back to the whole growth thing we've been speaking about. There's hope. As long as you have hope, you can grow. And when you grow, those thoughts start drifting away from you more.
Yeah, and I that's everything we're saying is great, but I promise that whatever you're going through, you can get through. You're going to grow through what you go through. Going back to growth.
There you go.
That sounds like a Till Valhalla shirt already.
Right?
They have it out. That's why.
You should have sent that quote to my wife.
Oh, well, I will tomorrow.
Yeah, Till Valhalla has some good shirts,
They
right?
do. So since we brought them up,
Yeah.
if you need a nice shirt, they do have good shirts and they have great messages on them. And that hopefully they hear us talk and they might want to come talk to us.
Yeah. I mean, I like the one I have on. Stay, tomorrow needs you.
Yeah.
And it does. Your family needs you. This place is not better off without you. I brought a bunch of suicide awareness stuff from the church side, and maybe we'll cover some of that next week because, you know, in the church, most churches are afraid to talk about it.
No.
And so I brought a whole bunch of suicide awareness from a training that we did a few years ago. It was really good. So I just want to make sure that people have 988. I mean, that makes it easier than ever. 988, we couldn't ask for a better resource for somebody. But we also have other resources if you need to get in treatment.
Is there a place you can find counseling?
Oh, there's all kinds of places to find counseling. You could go
What
to
about-
reclaiminghope-mode.org.
Okay, that's what
Yeah, reclaiminghope-mode.org, and you could get signed up, and we will give you a call. We'll schedule you an appointment, get you an assessment done, and get you handled that way. We have other therapists, psychiatrists, you name it. We will give you referrals to many different places because it's important to get in to see a psychiatrist to get on the right meds.
And trust me, a lot of these referrals that we're giving you are ones we used ourselves. That's why we're passing them on.
Yeah, I'm not going to refer somebody out to a provider that I wouldn't send my mom or my wife to.
Right.
Period.
Exactly.
If my mom or my wife, if I can't send them, I can't send anybody there.
True.
So, any closing?
Get out of your comfort zone. If you ain't growing, you dying.
Hey, on the same thing, keep growing, you guys. There's only hope in the future. That's what Jesus says, the Bible says, Jeremiah 29:11. God knows His plans for you, plans of hope in the future. Stay grow.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you, if you need help, reach out. info@awakensober.org. Reach out to 988. We want to talk to you. We want to walk a journey with you. With that, God bless you guys. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, do all those things.
Yes, we're on every podcast platform and YouTube. Hit us up.
Thanks for tuning in, y'all.
Yep.
Love you
Peace out,
guys. God bless. Have a good week.
All right.